So if you have any way of marking these talks, put this one aside until you turn 80, and then you can listen to it with some resonance. But for those of you who are younger than that, and you need to stay on here, you can hear a talk about what it's like to be 80. But the title of the talk that's coming through is really, really interesting to me. And it's kind of called How to Lose Your Mind. But it has a very specific misrepresentation when you say your mind, because that's where we get in trouble. And the real title of this talk should be How to Lose the Mind. And that may sound odd, but if you've led a spiritual life, let's say, a deeper life, a meditative life, a vertical life, something that's tuned you into something greater than day to day disturbances and worries and fears and concerns and happinesses and sadnesses and all that. If you have worked your way into a depth or a height of being, the idea of your mind is already starting to disintegrate. And what you are witnessing more than anything else is the mind. And it's a collective, it's not yours. It feels like yours because, of course, you make it yours. We are trained to make it ours from day one. We become separated, individualized. We create a story. We create the narrative. We create a view of the world that is totally and absolutely particular to us, more than you can imagine, and is not like exactly anybody else's. You don't fully know that. You get hints of it along the way. You talk to people and you go, whoa, they're not looking at the world the same way you are. And so you have this incredible feeling of your mind is different than everybody else's mind. And you start to see your particularities and you start to maybe question what is the view of that you have of the world as opposed to their view. And of course, one of the great things about storytelling, narrative literature, movies, television, just talking to people, is you go, ooh, I don't see the world like that. That is really different. They have a completely opposite view of my perception. How can that be? And in great literature, great storytelling, they show you how they see the world differently. And you read a book or you watch a really good movie and you go, that's enlightening. I am not the only vision of the world. They have a completely different mindset, and their mindset is whole and reasonable and real, but just theirs. It's still their mindset. Finding the mindset, if you will, the mind, the singular overview of mind, is a journey. And I'm not even sure it ends up being all that satisfying because when you let go of the mind altogether, then what? What's there? What's there? And the fact that anything is there is a shock. There is something there that is not as particular as you imagine. It's more global. It has an overview. It's vast. And your name and your particularities and your mind are not the totality. They're just a speck in the the grandness of the mind. And then when the mind starts to go away, there's nothing that you are cognating, really. There is the witness. There is, I like the word the radiance. There is the viewer. There is the knower. There is the source. And it has very, very little to do with you at that point. If you have been practicing, working, learning to let go of the mind on a daily basis or to let go of your mind on a daily basis, you do start to move toward letting go of the mind. The mind becomes sort of a definition of what you are in a bigger sense. You are the mind, the collective mind. And that's a big deal. You are totality. You are the whole. But when you hit 80 or beyond, or if you're practicing at any point, really, if you're starting to do this really deep, profound inner work, the mind, the collective mind, the overview of mind, even that starts to collapse. It falls, starts to fall away, and it's very weird. It the center, as you might say, doesn't hold, meaning the center of your mind doesn't hold, or the mind, but something is still there. And if you've been sitting for years or decades and watching this happen, and you can let it go without, oh, no, 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 I need holding on, like this is really, this is what I am, it's who I am. If you can let that go, and I'm telling you, it's not easy. And in your 80s, you're going to learn, like, oh, wow, this is what I've been training for. And it's very, very strange. Not that you have to do very much, because it's kind of a falling away. It starts to depart. So you start to go from your mind to the mind to no mind. And you witness this. But you can't witness it and try to put it back together in any way. And if you do, it'll be kind of vaguely based on who you were, vaguely based on the collective and what you've read in the newspaper and watched on the news and all that. It'll start to kind of reform. But mostly what happens is there's nothing there but this awareness. This awareness. It's not interactive. It's not judging. It may for a bit, because you still have a body and you still have the assembly of the machinery that's still in place. And so you will have moments of cognition and of looking at life and going, uh-huh, uh-huh. And then it will melt away and you'll go, uh-huh, uh-huh. And there will be radiant moments, dark moments, moments where nothing makes sense on any level, moments where everything makes sense in a way you can't even contemplate. And it's full of wonder and great instability. You don't have, anytime you move back toward trying to cohere, it's problematic. Every time something in you goes, let it go, surrender, let go. You find your way back to having no core, center, anything. It's just what is. While you're still in your body, it's a very strange ride. If you're not spiritually directed, it's a very disturbing ride. You're really being torn apart, dismantled. The mind is really lost. It doesn't know what's going on. It's suffering on a very big level. And I totally get that, because I'm witnessing how it works. But I'm also seeing the liberation of it, if you will. The idea that, oh, oh, there's a there is a beauty that comes from letting go of the mind, having no mind, that's just there. And not only is it just there, it has never not been there, ever. It has been there from the beginning. You have separated, if you will, from it. You have divided into pieces. And you may not look at it that way because you became yourself, but yourself is a conglomerate of everything your parents taught you and your brothers and sisters and your friends and your teachers and everybody else. They put you together and you assembled you. And then toward the end of your life, this disassembling takes place, but it's still you being taken apart. That's an illusion. It's a very painful illusion. You will not like it. It will start with things like memory going away. And then it starts with more powerful things like, how do I lock the door? What do I do? I have to have a key. I remember I have to have a key. Now that I'm just making that up, but there are things like that that are so foundational, you know, trying to remember how it works. And those of us who are in our 80s who have to deal with telephones, cell phones, computers, all of the elaborate nature of 21st century technology, it's very easy to understand how you can not know how to do any of it. Now the mind breaks down and you go, I don't know. How do I get the time to change itself? How do I get this to happen? everyone I know who's in my age group is like, but a lot of people growing, even at some of your ages, are still also having similar problems like, what's going on? What is going on? Like, why did the sun just come out just now? I have no clue. We're supposed to have rain right now. Doesn't make sense. There's no sense to this. All I can tell you is it's happening and it happens, and there is a mind that puts it together. And then if you are able to let go of the mind, you just go, oh, sun. Oh, beautiful. You know, your projection of what's supposed to be, the phone told you it was going to be this kind of weather and there was going to be rain and there's going to be this. No, that's not how the world's working. The world is working differently. It's whatever it is. You are weaving it together in whatever way you do. But if you're on this journey to quote unquote liberation, you are going to watch the mind fall away. And all you know is there is the witness. And the witness will see, oh, sun, oh, clouds, oh, darkness, oh, light. You'll see things, you'll still name them for a while. Maybe at some point you won't. I haven't quite hit the moment where I don't name it or I don't acknowledge it's like, huh, huh, wow, oh, okay. I do that. Sometimes I go like that. And sometimes I go, I'm frightened. I just don't have a clue to any of it. No clue. And that's when the person keeps reemerging. The body, the 80-year-old, whatever, deteriorating self has to come back into the picture and will be there until it's not. At some point, that too goes. And that's the final blow for people who are embodied. The body goes, the body and the mind contained in the body, and the mind, your mind and the mind all disappear with the body. But if you're a Buddhist and you talk about Bardo Thodol and the Tibetan Book of the Dead, no, it's not done. The mind is still doing it. And everything I'm talking about right now in terms of being 80 continues after your death, according to these teachings, because it still has to let go. If you're doing the work now, and when that moment arrives, there's nothing. It's just like, wow. I'm not saying that's a desired point, although I will tell you the little bit I have of realizing that awareness is amazing. And I would like to share that. And I would like to, through these classes, as long as I'm doing them, share that possibility to let you know that you are going to lose your mind, you're going to lose the mind, and you're going to lose the body that incorporates all of this, and yet there will still be something there. If you're attached to what's there, meaning witness, and you're separating from it, there's struggle because you're going to have to be dismantled back into the simplicity of singularity. So you got to do it at some point. I would encourage you, do it now. Actually, I'd say do it now for a lot of reasons, but one of them is it's amazing. It is amazing. It is beautiful. It is beyond comprehension. And it is like, and life has very interesting moments. To go to my personal story, I was taking a walk the other day and thinking I should try to um, figure out what I'm going to say in my Christmas letter this Christmas, because I can barely remember the year at all, what happened all this year. It's almost like it just was a year, but a lot happened. And I was trying to put it together. And as I'm trying to do it and failing, I thought, I wonder about all my old Christmas letters. Where are they? We started sending out Christmas letters to people in the 1980s. And I started going, well, where would I find them? I bet they're really interesting. And I couldn't figure out even where to look. Walking home, I take out the mail, walk in the house, I put the mail down, and there's a package from my cousin Margie in Detroit, Margie Krasnick. And I open it up, and she said, I was going through all my old stuff, and I found all your old Christmas mails. And here they are. And there they were, right there. And I went, aha, huh. I don't know what one does with that kind of life experience other than look at it as, yes, it's beyond my comprehension. My sister, Marcy, and her husband, Alan, my brother-in-law, and brother in many ways, came to visit this past week. I was very worried about their visit because we are politically on totally opposite ends of the spectrum. And I don't want to get into that because it can get problematic. And I was worried that it would get problematic. And fascinatingly, there was no mention at all about politics, which was a great relief because it could have been very divisive and problematic and painful. We just loved each other. We loved each other. And we spoke about spiritual connection. We spoke about life. We all resonated. There was radiance filling the room. And I kept thinking, but I got to have this conversation. I got to, and something in me said, no, you don't. And one of the things that came through in a brilliant way was that they see the world through very different eyes. And I could be critical and say, well, you don't get this and you don't get that. But their vision was so well expressed in so many ways, not politically, but just a vision of how the world is, that all I could do was honor it, honor the difference in all of us. And yes, it creates chaos on the political front, if you will, but what we had was love. We just had love. And yesterday we went out to a fair, um, and it was I can't even explain what it was, but it was like the boat trip that we took, the cruise last Christmas. In fact, the cruise was in celebration of my sister's and brother-in-law's 50th anniversary. So we were back in that horizontal chaos of so many people, so many cars, parking. Can't tell you how far you had to walk to get to this fair. And when you get into the middle of the fair, it's just all these high-end people selling stuff. And I need nothing. And they don't need anything. None of us needed a thing, but we're walking around looking and going, dodging people and dodging children and strollers and everything else. And there was nothing joyful really about it. And I didn't want to walk back to the car because it's hard. My back was hurting. It was a big hard. And I was just holding Blanche's hands hanging together. And then Josh found that in the middle of the fair was this amazingly good restaurant that we had once been to before, but it was open serving. And we got a table for, there were 8 of us. And we sat down in the middle of chaos and had this incredibly joyful, delicious lunch. Chaos everywhere, but we together found stillness and simplicity and joy. And then it just worked out. It just worked out. I had to go to the bathroom. There was a line of 15 people in front of me to go to the bathroom because this place was so crowded. But I was lucky. And then my sister joined me. And then we just sat and talked in line. And then the bathroom opened up finally. And each of us went, and life was back to normal. We found our way back to the car because we decided not to look at another thing in the chaos of that space. And we went home, took naps, and went over to Joshua's house for dinner. And we sat and had this amazing dinner and a conversation where we started recounting our family journeys from all these years ago. And it was amazing because we all saw the same exact phenomenon from completely different angles. And things were opening up about, really? My mother drank? I never knew my mother drank. It was on certain occasions, but I just like all these little pieces of information were coming through, and I realized I don't know the world at all. I don't have an idea of what the truth is of everyone around me, and we are all so particular. And the stories of my cousins and what they did, and their marriages and their failures and their affairs, and I mean, all this stuff was happening, and I'm going, okay, I don't mind letting go of my mind, and I don't mind letting go of the mind. It's all just stuff. It's crowded with stuff. And does it have value and meaning and history? Yes. Is it really important? No. What was important was the love between my sister, my brother-in-law, and me, and my grandchildren, and my son Josh and his wife Evan. We just all had this continuity of cohesion as people. Is that important? You bet. You bet. Find the thing that holds you together while it can. Be prepared for its dissolution because it is coming. And when you are 80 and you listen to this talk and it reminds you that your mind is going to go, not just your memory, but your mind and then the mind, you will go, thank you. Thank you. Because it is the road that we're on. While we're here, enjoy the ones who are in your life, enjoy the people, enjoy the moments that occur because they are spectacular. When my sister left this morning, my heart was breaking and her heart was breaking because that's what we experience. We're very connected. But there we go. It's how it works, guys. People go away. It will all go away. Will we see each other ever again? I assume so. Do I know so? No. So the letting go of your mind, the mind, witnessing, being in the state of quietude in the middle of a chaotic affair, going to dinner and sharing stories that don't add up but make you feel that you're part of the same equation in a way that is amazing and mind-bending, because who knew all these things were happening, is like what life is. Its life is so full and it's so amazing and it's so ultimately joyous. But find your space, find a way into the core of your space, which is beyond mind. It's inside, it's the place Rudy takes us to. It's this witnessing, radiant, joyous, sometimes not joyous, exquisite space of being. That's who you are. That's where we all go. That's where we end up. And if you really do the work, you will end up there as a free being, as a free entity, letting go of the life story and all your cousins and all the people who tell you different versions of the same thing that you didn't know. You let go of all that stuff, and you are just pure witness. And I will tell you, the quality of pure witness is partly amazement and joy, but mostly love. That is my sense of it. I may be wrong, but that's my sense. And if you experience any of that and you come to that place in yourself, it's liberating and wonderful. So that's the talk. Let go of your mind, let go of the mind, watch the world, be grateful you're part of it. Any questions? Okay. I'm having surgery this week for my lower back. My intention is to try to teach next week, but I read some of the reports that some of the instructions they give you, and they said you can't sit for more than 30 minutes at a time. So how that will impact, this is after the operation, how that will impact teaching a class, I have no idea. So come Friday, the operation's on Wednesday. Friday, I'll know whether I'll be teaching next weekend, and you'll get an invitation. You'll get an announcement. If I'm not, it'll be maybe the week after or the week after that. We'll see how it goes. I have no idea, but I will tell you as soon as I can. I will be back. If you want to join me, you're welcome. If you don't want to join me, I have loved you guys more than you can possibly imagine, truly more than you can imagine. And we'll leave it at that. But we'll see how things go for the time being. And don't call me like, oh, good luck. I don't want to hear anything. This is just a thing. So all I can tell you is let's move forward. I love you so much. Wow. Angela's hearts are gorgeous. Thank you. That's so sweet. Um, there are floating hearts on the screen. I love you all really profoundly, deeply. And I'll see you, I hope, again, whenever that happens.
When is this, Bruce? It's Wednesday? Wednesday you're doing this?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And it's upstate, or are you coming to the city?
No, it's in the city. It's at the Columbia Presbyterian.
Okay.
So anyway, my son's taking me. We're all set up. It's all fine. All's good. Hopefully it'll work out well. It's not too intrusive, so hopefully it'll be fine.
Just want to send you light.
Thank you. Thank you. You can send all the light you want. Just keep it private. Just put it in the atmosphere. I'll be very happy to get it. I love you all.